Tackling tricky terrain. Weak obligations in English. Hello, language explorers. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of modal verbs, specifically focusing on weak obligations. It's a vital part of communicating effectively in English and can really elevate your language skills. You'll find it's not as difficult as you might think. And as always, we're going to focus on some common mistakes and, most importantly, how to avoid them. Weak obligations are instances where something is suggested or recommended, rather than strictly required. The modal verbs used to express these are should, ought to, and could. For example, you should try the new Italian restaurant downtown. You ought to check out that book I was telling you about. You could see a movie tonight if you're bored. In each of these sentences, an action is suggested but not demanded. There's a sense of freedom for the listener to choose. Now, let's look at some common mistakes made when using weak obligations and how to correct them. 1. Incorrect use of modal verbs. 2. Mistake. You must try the new Italian restaurant downtown. 3. Correction. You should try the new Italian restaurant downtown. Remember, the verb must conveys a stronger obligation, not a weak one. Use should or ought to communicate a suggestion, not an absolute requirement. 4. Incorrect verb form after modal verbs. 5. Mistake. You should to see a movie tonight. 6. Correction. You should see a movie tonight. Remember, after a modal verb, we use the base form of the verb without to. 7. Mixing up should and should to. 8. Mistake. You should to read that book. 9. Correction. You should read that book. In English, we never use to after should. So, remember, it's always should plus base verb. E.g., you should go, not you should to go. Remember, the key to mastering any language is consistent practice. Try forming sentences using should, ought to, and could. Practice with friends, write them in your journal, or use them in your daily conversations. And that's a wrap for today's session on weak obligations in English. I hope this clears up any confusion you may have had. Keep practicing, and soon enough, you'll be using should, ought to, and could like a pro. Remember, language learning is a journey, and every step you take is significant. Keep going, and happy learning.